some outbound tender volumes.
Outbound tender
so
volumes.
We've been watching outbound tender volumes. You know, a few days, about a week ago on November 5th, we actually had volumes cross under what we had in 2018. You know, they've been over 2018 levels since July 5th. So we had an over 3-month period where 2019 was outpacing 2018. So we dropped down today. We're just right above 9,600. Kind of yesterday and today both were right above 9,600. So I want to see those turn up, but right now we've been, in a decline. So not a great thing to see for volume. This is national volumes. This doesn't mean that every market's, declining.
Let me get your perspective though. It is really it's the pickup, man. It really should be picking up leading into Thanksgiving, into Christmas. What do you take away from this? Your history in freight goes back over, 20 years plus?
We've had, the Southern California markets drive our markets for fourth quarter.
Correct.
A huge retail market. And we've had volumes drop, over 20% in the last 30 days coming out of Southern California.
Should I be panicking? Is this scary to the point where I should really start to think about next year being a very tough year? Or is this just something that's an anomaly?
I wouldn't panic, no.
Okay.
All right, just some restructuring. We're not going to have the big fourth quarter out of Southern California this year as we've had in past years. A lot of the freight was pulled forward and moved early. We had the tariff scare, and so a lot of that freight came in early. It was moved, a lot of it by rail, and it's sitting in warehouses, in regional areas like your Joliet, Atlanta, Memphis. So that's where a lot of this freight's sitting. So you're still going to see some of the long-haul freight come out of Southern California because not all of it came in early. But we're not going to see as much of it. We're going to see a lot more regional-type freight moving around. So the freight's still there. The volumes, they're low, but they're not, there's no panic mode right now.
It's not the Great Depression, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Here we're 4% lower than what, we should be.
Let's see what's going on next here.
Right.
Taking a look at, what do you got for us?
I got on the blue line here, we got tender rejection rates for dry vans, and in the green line here, we have tender rejection rates for reefer. On the right-hand side, we have dry vans at 4.41%, which is a very low tender rejection rate for this time of year. It normally should be around 14, 15, 16% and climbing. Here on the left-hand side, we have reefers. They're at 14.07%. So looking at dry vans, they're right now very, very low. It's a very soft market for dry van freight right now. A lot of extra capacity in it, and that's what's really keeping the average rate down right now. Reefer has been dropping here slightly, but it's still elevated, 14.07%. That's still a very strong tender rejection rate. So prices are elevating, well above what our average contracted rate is in the U.S. market.
Donnie, your perspectives that come in every single day. I've learned so much from Sonar just by watching you, just by talking to you. I think you're the perfect guy to be running the Sonar Summits. And I just love the perspective every day. Let's see what else you got for us going on.
So,
whoa!
Throw this on a U.S. map. This is our new 3D map.
I love it.
This is outbound tender volumes broken down per market, and our dry van tender rejection rates, which are showing the 3D elevation from each market. So I just wanted to bring up what I had and just kind of throw it on our new maps here so everybody can see our new maps. I love them. The graphics are great, and you can see what's going on looking at one map versus having to have, your volumes map over here to the left, and on your right, your tender rejects map. So now we can throw it all on one map and see what's going on together.
Absolutely, and this is a total game changer. The ability to see two indices on one map so you can immediately know what's going on with two different sets of data. And it doesn't have to be just your head haul or just your outbound rejections. You can mix and match all different types of data. Like I said before, make sure you go down there and take a look. Thanks so much, Donnie. Absolutely amazing. I know you got two more. We're going to get you back in Chattanooga. Thanks so much. Anthony Smith, coming on up. Take a look what's going on. Donnie Gilbert, everybody. Let's give the man a round of applause. All right, Anthony Smith, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I am great. We're here at FreightWaves Live, Chicago. No other place I'd rather be right now.
Not even Tennessee, man.
I love Tennessee, but it's all happening here.
It's all happening, and it's happening fast, Anthony.
Yes.
So I don't know if we had the ability to update the chart in the time.
We could just talk about
I
it.
want to hear your perception. I want to
Right.
hear what you're talking about.
Right.
Give us a rundown.
Okay, so what we're talking about today is consumer credit, right? So in the latest reports, we saw that consumer credit substantially slowed down this last month in September. So what we saw in September, it went from, I think it was 17.8 in August, $17.8 billion spending in August to 9.5 billion spending in September. This is a huge drop, right? But it's still up almost 2% year over year. but it does kind of show a slight shakiness when we're looking at consumer spending trends.
Now, does that have anything to do with consumer sentiment in regards to this? They can spend, but do they
Right.
feel good about spending?
Where's Zach Strickland? It has a lot to do about consumer sentiment, potentially. Also, this is one of the things, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we don't want the consumer to be overextended when we're talking about how much credit or debt they're taking on. So when we're looking at the consumer spending patterns, we're looking at credit, we want them to be spending just in that happy medium point, right? We want them to spend.
Not underspending, not overspending, not
underspending.
extending themselves.
Exactly.
Now, so we're talking about outbound volumes dropping down, coming into the Christmas season.
Right.
Where do you see the general economic report by mid-January next year? Strong consumer sentiment, or are we kind of stuck in this limbo, man?
Right, so I think consumer sentiment is going to stay strong. I think the big thing that can really shake consumer sentiment is if any kind of price increases from tariffs get passed on to them. And I think that can really start to shake things up. And I think that's what's really going to be the make or break when we go into 2020. For sure, when we're looking at manufacturing, I don't think that's going to be much help. There's just so many uncertainties. Again, I don't know where Zach Strickland is, but there's so many uncertainties on the manufacturing side, and that's almost like sentiment for the manufacturers, right? They have a lot of uncertainty, so they're unsure of whether or not to invest overseas, whether or not they're going to take on new projects, whether or not they're going to ramp up production or not. So.
Well, and that's where it starts, at
Right.
the dock door. That's why
Exactly.
we're all here. Whether you're shipper, carrier, or broker, the stuff that's got to move, no matter what the stuff is, there has to be someone on the other side, whether it's B2C or B2B,
Exactly.
somebody to then purchase that stuff. So as it stands right now, before you say goodbye, your overall take on the economy, strong?
Strong economy, thanks to the consumer, and that's what we have here. We have a strong consumer, but there's a thin veil. When we're looking at consumer, when we're looking at employment trends, great employment numbers, right? 3.6%, I think was the latest number. But are those quality jobs? And once prices get passed, price increases get passed forward, is that really going to shake their spending abilities? So, good economy, but I think it's a little bit more frail than what might be, I think.
I love the perspective. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are agreeing with you. I'm always an ultimate optimist. I'm in
Yes,
agreement
yes,
with
yes,
you.
yes.
I've been asking folks that I've been speaking to, if you could have a FreightWaves live event anywhere on planet Earth, where's it going to be?
I think we might have to go international one time.
International.
We might have to go international.
All right, so where? International?
Mexico?
Mexico.
Japan. Nihon.
I heard Tokyo yesterday.
Tokyo.
Anthony
Nihon
Smith,
Go,
ladies and
yes.
gentlemen. Let's give this guy a round of applause all the way out in the back. Anthony Smith, taking care of business every day. My name is Kyle Cunningham. It's time for your daily carrier update, sponsored by Powerfleet. I know Powerfleet's out there. I just want to give Powerfleet a huge shout out for sponsoring the daily carrier update and keeping assets rolling. So Powerfleet, everybody out there, make sure you stop by and see them. Talking to the carriers out there, what we're going to do today is jump in to the chart. Okay, we got the outbound tender reject index from Mobile, Alabama. I want you guys to know, if you're running assets in the south today and you're anywhere nearby Mobile, I want you to get some more today on those trucks. Right now you can see 10.16 on the outbound tender rejects. That's a huge jump up from yesterday. 51.42% up from yesterday. Let's take a look at the volatility of this market and understand that when it's down here, those assets need to roll underneath contract freight. But once it comes up to this line right here above 10%, it's time to revisit and see what's out on the spot market. 10% indicating that there are spot market options. As carriers reject that contracted freight, there's better stuff out there for them. Now you can see here, tops out around 12.5% mid-October. Can we keep running up that way? I sure hope so for everybody down in Mobile. Let's move over and take a look at the brand new features inside of Sonar 5.0. Now, Donnie was talking about this a little bit. We've got the concept of our 3D maps. This right here, we're looking at our head haul map. So we got our colors right here. Blue indicating that it's a stronger market for carriers. There's way more outbound freight, way more outbound options. Red right here going to showcase shippers and brokers have the strength in that market. So if you're holding assets today anywhere down in Texas, New Mexico, Phoenix, and even Las Vegas, Stockton, super dark red there. So if you got trucks in Sacramento, not looking good today. LA, Ontario, looking great. Up north, Idaho as well. See, this is what's so amazing about 5.0 is now you're going to be able to see the head haul, so that outbound versus inbound, and then we're going to be able to show you the outbound tender rejection rates based upon the height. So the taller the market, the more valuable your trucks are. Keep that in mind. The taller the market, the more valuable your trucks are. So if you're ready to get signed up, if you've been seeing this every day, if you've been listening to what's going on, right down there, right across from JB Hunt 360, that's where they're gonna sign you up. Don't go home without signing up for Sonar, because if you are running a trucking business, if you are running a brokerage and you're not using Sonar, you're leaving money on the table, and I'll stand on this desk and say that all day. Let's take a look at the O-Tri, the value of your assets in comparison to the diesel truck stop price, and not the diesel truck stop price put out by the Department of Energy. The diesel truck stop price put out proprietary data inside of FreightWaves Sonar. So right here we can see the darker the blue, the more outbound tender rejections. The higher the state, the more you're gonna pay for fuel. So out in California, not looking that great. You got a really tall market, so you got really expensive diesel, and you got a really light blue indicating just not a lot of outbound tender rejection. Here we go. I gotta fight them. I'm gonna keep it going as we go. 5 minutes before everyone gets out in the hall. For all of you sticking out there listening to me, thanks so much. Let's move over and talk about outbound tender volumes. Spoke about it earlier, just want to hit hard on this. As Donnie said, don't get scared, but you can see here, this green line is your last year's volume levels. So you can see pattern follows generally the same, but last week our volume levels from this year crossed underneath last year's volume. So the volumes are soft, and they're getting softer, but don't panic, my friends. Do not panic. This is why you need FreightWaves Sonar. Don't leave home without it. Ed's taking it over to Memphis, Tennessee. We want to break it down by individual length of haul. Long haul outbound tender rejects, Memphis, Tennessee, really looking good. So if you're running long haul out of the southeast, take it right here. You're going to see the Blue Mountain long haul outbound tender rejects 6.38%. Not the strongest. 10% when it's strong. We're climbing up though. So you can see here a lot of volatility. Green lines your volumes. What I love about the ability to look inside of Sonar is to find leading indicators, to understand this data before anyone else does. If you learn this now in a soft market, by the time it gets good again, and let me tell you, it will, you're going to be ahead. You're going to have an advantage. Let's take it down. Quincy, Illinois, mid-hauls. So if you're running those 300 to 500 mile runs, this is what you want to look for. Quincy, Illinois, 27.56%. Your assets are far more valuable in Quincy running mid-hauls than anywhere else all across the country. Let's take a look at the mid-haul outbound tender volume out of Quincy, Illinois. You can see here yet again leading indicators. Take it back to June. Big move up with the white line. Just a few days later, the value of your assets start going up. So if you're ready to see this every single day, there it is right down there. You cannot miss it. My friends, we're coming to a close for the segment. We're coming to a close for the event. I want to thank every single person for being here. I want to thank every single person at FreightWaves for helping put this on. I want to thank the video crew, and I want to thank David as well, my man, the sound guy, keeping this mic from feeding back on me. Let's talk about St. Cloud, Minnesota before we run out of time. Just wanted to highlight this right here. Big moves up from early July. So the general outbound, tweener outbound tender rejects for St. Cloud, a pretty isolated market out there. Tweener outbound tender volume, yet again, providing leading indicators for when your assets are going to be far more valuable. Taking a look at where it's at now, 25%. My friends, that's 1 out of every 4 contracted tenders being rejected in that market. So if you have contracted freight in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and those contracts are not the price you want, take a look and see what's going on. If you got if you got trucks in Minneapolis, might be more valuable to do a little bit of a deadhead, find something down in St. Cloud, and understand that in terms of volume, small volume market, as we come to a close, Rapid fire demos coming to you very soon. Gotta highlight this, I got 1 minute, let's talk rates. Ontario, California to Atlanta, Georgia. Today's median rate, $1.53. Now, as I said before, this is not yesterday's rate, it's not the day before's rate, it's today's rate, it's tomorrow's rates. If you're ready to find tomorrow's rates, there it is right down there, FreightWaves Sonar booth. Get down there and sign up. I'd like to thank everybody yet again for being here. Y'all take care, and we'll see you back in Chattanooga.